Hi, thank you for joining me for another edition of Insight from my book, where we explore ideas that strengthen our leadership, deepen our understanding, and inspire us to become wiser citizens in an ever changing world. Whether you are joining us from New York or California, Texas or Florida, Alaska or Hawaii, or from American communities serving, studying, working, or living abroad, I am honored to have you with us today. My name is Reverend Dr. Clarence R. Pearson Sr. I am a pastor, researcher, leadership consultant, public policy observer, and author with a passion for helping individuals, communities, institutions, and nations grow through wisdom, ethical leadership, responsible citizenship, and informed decision making. Today, I would like to share another important insight from my latest book, Neither Left Nor Right: The Battle for America's Democratic Soul. Our focus today comes from Chapter 4, When Politics Becomes Religion. The central lesson of this chapter is one of the most important in the entire book. Politics is a vital part of democracy, but the moment politics becomes our religion, democracy begins to suffer. Politics was never meant to replace purpose. Throughout history, people have searched for meaning. We all want to belong. We all want purpose. We all want to believe that our lives contribute to something larger than ourselves. Traditionally, people found that purpose in families, faith communities, neighborhoods, volunteer organizations, schools, and civic institutions. Today, however, many of those institutions have weakened. As they have weakened, politics has increasingly filled the vacuum. For some people, political movements have become more than organizations, they have become identities. For others, political leaders have become more than elected officials. They have become symbols of hope, fear, or even salvation. Politics was never designed to carry that weight. Government can make laws, it cannot give ultimate meaning to life. When ideology becomes identity, one of the greatest dangers facing any democracy is when citizens stop saying, I support this policy, and begin saying, this political movement is who I am. There is an enormous difference. Ideas can be debated, policies can be improved, laws can be amended, but identities are deeply personal. Once politics becomes identity, every disagreement feels like a personal attack. Every election becomes a moral war. Every compromise feels like betrayal. Instead of asking, is this policy wise? We begin asking, are you with us or against us? That question has divided nations throughout history. America must resist it. The danger of moral absolutism. Healthy democracies require conviction. They also require humility. The problem begins when we become convinced that our political side possesses all virtue while the other side possesses none. History teaches us that no political movement, no party, no ideology, and no leader has ever been morally perfect. Every generation has blind spots. Every movement makes mistakes. Every leader is human. Democracy flourishes when citizens are willing to hold strong convictions while remaining humble enough to recognize that they themselves can also be wrong. Humility is not weakness. It is one of democracy's greatest safeguards. From opponents to enemies, political opponents are necessary. Enemies are dangerous. In healthy democracies, political opponents compete vigorously during elections. Afterward, they continue living together as neighbors, co workers, classmates, and fellow citizens. But when politics becomes a kind of religion, opponents become heretics, disagreement becomes blasphemy, forgiveness disappears, respect declines, suspicion grows. The language of politics becomes increasingly hostile. Eventually, people begin believing that the nation cannot survive if the other side wins. That belief creates fear. Fear creates anger. Anger creates division. Division weakens democracy. America has survived countless political disagreements. It cannot afford to lose its ability to see fellow Americans as fellow citizens. Lessons from QAnon and digital cultism. One of the case studies examined in this chapter is the rise of QAnon, a conspiracy movement that gained significant attention through social media. While its specific claims have been widely discredited, its broader significance lies in what it reveals about the digital age. It demonstrates how online communities can reinforce belief systems that become resistant to evidence, correction, or accountability. But this lesson extends beyond any single movement. Whenever people become unwilling to question their own side, whenever loyalty becomes more important than truth, whenever evidence no longer matters, the seeds of digital cultism begin to grow. This danger is not confined to one political ideology, it is a human temptation. Every citizen should guard against it. The difference between conviction and idolatry. There is nothing wrong with caring deeply about politics. There is nothing wrong with defending constitutional principles. There is nothing wrong with advocating for justice. There is nothing wrong with supporting a political party. The problem begins when our political allegiance becomes greater than our commitment to truth. Conviction asks, what is right? Idolatry asks, how do I defend my side at all costs? Conviction welcomes evidence. Idolatry rejects it. Conviction allows correction. Idolatry fears it. Conviction serves the country. Idolatry serves the movement. That distinction is essential for every democracy. Why this matters today? This conversation matters because Americans increasingly encounter politics every hour of every day. Television, podcasts, social media, online discussions, breaking news, political commentary. It is easy to become emotionally consumed. When politics occupies every conversation, every relationship, every waking moment, it begins to crowd out the things that ultimately sustain healthy societies: family, faith, community, friendship, service, compassion. Democracy depends upon citizens who have lives larger than politics. Because politics should influence our lives, it should never consume them. 3 questions for reflection. This week, I encourage you to reflect on 3 simple questions. 1. Am I allowing politics to shape my character or merely my opinions? 2. Can I respectfully disagree with someone without questioning their humanity or patriotism? 3. Is my deepest identity rooted in my values and citizenship or in my political tribe? These questions are not intended to weaken your convictions. They are intended to strengthen your wisdom. Strong democracies require citizens who are passionate but also gracious, committed but also humble. Why I wrote this chapter. I wrote this chapter because I believe America desperately needs citizens who value principles more than personalities. Movements will come and go. Political leaders will rise and fall. Political parties will evolve. But the Constitution endures. The Republic endures. The American people endure. Our loyalty should always be greater to the enduring principles of liberty, justice, equality under the law, and constitutional government than to any individual or political movement. That is how democracies survive, not by worshiping leaders, but by strengthening institutions, not by elevating personalities, but by preserving principles. In closing, let's quickly review today's insight. Today we learned 1. Politics should inform our citizenship, not become our religion. 2. Political identity should never replace our shared American identity. 3. Moral certainty without humility weakens democratic life. 4. Opponents are necessary in democracy, enemies are not. 5. Every citizen must guard against blind loyalty and ideological absolutism. 6. America's future depends upon preserving principles above personalities. When these principles guide our lives, democracy becomes healthier, dialogue becomes more respectful, institutions become stronger, and national unity becomes more achievable. If today's insight has been meaningful to you, I encourage you to get a copy of my book, Neither Left Nor Right: The Battle for America's Democratic Soul. The book is available through Amazon and other major online booksellers. Simply search for my name, Clarence R. Pearson, to discover this and my other published works. After reading the book, I encourage you to leave an honest review to help other readers discover this important conversation. I would also be honored if you would follow my Amazon author page to stay informed about future books, leadership resources, civic education materials, and new releases. Before you go, please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share. Together, we can promote constitutional principles over personality cults, truth over tribalism, dialogue over division, and responsible citizenship over ideological extremism. I have been your presenter, Reverend Dr. Clarence R. Pearson, Sr., helping you transform knowledge into wisdom, conviction into character, and citizenship into impact. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Insight from my book. Until next time, remember, America does not need citizens who worship political parties or personalities. America needs citizens who love the Constitution, defend democratic institutions, respect one another, and remain committed to the common good. That is how a republic endures. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.